Thank you to my patrons. Your generosity and commitment to my work is astonishing. I sincerely appreciate it. If after hearing that number, you're still an atheist, I can't help you. Your biases are blinding you from the truth. If you can look at the cosmological constant and come to the conclusion that we are the product of mere chance, I just can't help you. But I'll pray for you. I'll pray for your soul.
Take the risk of thinking for yourself. Much more happiness, truth, beauty, and wisdom will come to you that way. Thank you.
Hey everybody, Magic Skeptic here, and don't worry, the video is about to begin. I just wanted to take a moment to make you aware of my Patreon, the link for which can be found in the description below. Sign up today for as little as £3 per month, and you can gain access to a plethora of perks and extras, including downloadable audio-only and ad-free versions of my podcast that you can listen to on the go. You can also have your question answered in a monthly video, and better still, depending on which tier you choose, you could even sit down for a Skype call with yours truly, Magic Skeptic. All that is available and much, much more. All you got to do is click the link in the description below. I hope to see you there. Hey everybody, Magic Skeptic here, uploading for the very last time with that name. You see guys, I've been thinking a lot, and I've realized the error in my ways. I can no longer honestly refer to myself as the Magic Skeptic. I've given this a great deal of thought, I've reflected a lot, but I think I've changed my mind. I'm gonna have to change my name, guys. From this moment onwards, I'm gonna have to call myself the Magic Theist. This is heavy. I know this will come as a shock to all of you, my loyal and supportive subscribers and patrons, but I've always promised you the truth. I've always promised you that I'm going to be honest with you, and I've always promised you that I'm going to follow the evidence where it leads. And guys, I'm floored. I can't believe it, but I think I've discovered genuine evidence that points in the direction of a creator. And so what I want to do in this episode, this historic episode of my podcast or video series, what I want to do is explain to you what has led me to change my mind. So all jokes aside, no kidding, I'm just going to dive right in here, and I'm going to share with you the evidence that has persuaded me of the existence, I don't know if I want to call it a god, but the existence of some kind of divine agent, some kind of creative intelligence that's responsible for all of this. And so if you're ready and you're willing, I've got a PowerPoint ready to share with you, and I want to share with you the evidence that's changed my mind. So buckle up, folks. This is going to be a very, very different episode. I am now the Magic Theist, and here is the evidence that has persuaded me to believe in an all-knowing, divine, intelligent, and loving, above all else, loving creator. Let's get into it. So guys, to begin this discussion, I have to give credit where credit is due. And the credit I must give is to one Lee Strobel, who is an incredible thinker, an amazingly intelligent theist who is responsible in large part for changing my mind. You see, guys, over the past few weeks, the strength of my convictions pertaining to my atheism, the strength of my convictions pertaining to my skepticism about the existence of a divine creator, it was rooted very much in evolutionary theory. And so it was Lee Strobel who caused me to doubt this. And as soon as I began to doubt evolution, the whole thing just came tumbling down, guys. So I want to share with you the reasons why I began to doubt evolution, and perhaps the reasons that cause me to doubt will cause you to doubt as well. I mean, it's possible that at the end of this video, if it persuaded me, maybe you're going to become a theist as well. And you know what? That would be a wonderful thing, because the last thing I want is for any of my loyal fans and patrons to burn in hell forever. I want to save as many souls as possible here. So let's just dive right in here, guys. So bit smug perhaps, but I thought, and I mean, this is genuinely how I feel. Evolution? I don't think so. Not anymore, guys. Not anymore. Not after this encounter I've had with Strobel's work. He really is a visionary. So let's dive right in here. Evolution, fact or fiction? I think the first thing to remember, guys, is just the basic overview of what evolution is. So evolution states that all organisms developed from the same ancestor, microorganisms in the ocean, right? So that's a pretty extravagant claim, let's face it. So evolutionists or scientists or people who believe in scientism, that is, that the only way you can know that something is true is with science. What a joke that is. But they make this claim, and it's a pretty bombastic claim, and if they're going to make this claim, they better have evidence to back it up. These ancestors, according to those who believe in evolution, these ancestors gradually changed over time and each developed new distinct features, such as the ability to walk on land and to fly, etc. So this is just basic evolution 101, right? These changes eventually led to an abundance of different species that we see around us today. Again, evolution 101. Now, this sounds simple, right? But guys, I'm afraid to say it's wrong. It's just wrong. In fact, I would go so far as to say that I don't have enough faith to believe in evolution.
There's a lack of convincing evidence to back up Darwin's claim that there's a common origin to all life. Of course, there's what we call microevolution. Microevolution just says there's a variation between different kinds of animals. And that's true. In my neighborhood back in California, we've got lots of different kinds of dogs. And that's a good example of microevolution, variation between a certain kind of animal. 200 different varieties of dogs. But in the last 150 years, science has failed to substantiate Darwin's claims of macroevolution, which is that all creatures have a common ancestor and that natural selection, acting on random variation, can explain how fish became amphibians, which became reptiles, which became birds and mammals and so forth.
Now, I'm not just going to make an assertion, not like those evolutionists do. I'm not just going to assert that all of this is true. I better provide you with some evidence, or else you're not going to believe me. Let me share with you the evidence to change my mind. The first thing you need to be aware of, guys, is the fossil record, or lack thereof. Remember this. How can this be true if there is no fossil record to prove that such intermediate species ever existed? So if you're going to tell me the human beings evolved from monkeys, well then where are the intermediate fossils? I don't see them. I don't see them. If you go to museums and you look at the so-called evolutionary fossils, they're just plastic sculptures. They're just, fictitious. They're just make-believe. There's no real, genuine fossils available. So how am I supposed to grant that human beings came from monkeys? And more to the point, if we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys today? That just makes no sense at all.
The fossil record indisputably shows that the majority, if not all, of the world's 40 phyla, which is the highest category in the animal kingdom, virtually sprang forth with unique new body plans, fully formed, and without transitionary fossils preceding them. There's absolutely no evidence of this gradual evolution that Darwin predicted.
Simply put, guys, without transitionary fossils, because I'm not denying that fossils exist, I'm talking about transitionary fossils, the fossils that might indicate that monkeys were our ancestors, the kind of fossils that would indicate that human beings evolved from monkeys as opposed to being created by a divine intelligence. So without transitionary fossils to prove it, guys, evolution is little more than an interesting theory. And I think that's one of the most important things to remember here, guys. Evolution is just a theory. I mean, theories are a dime a dozen. Theories are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Who's going to care if you've got another interesting theory? I don't care about theories. I care about facts. You're going to have to bring evidence to the table, not just a guess. I don't care. I don't care about your theory. And you see, it was Lee Strobel who drew my attention to this. I just had failed to consider that evolution is just a theory. I didn't really take that on board because of my faith-based atheism. I just assumed that evolution was more than a theory and that it was factual and that it was true and that it was real. But It was Lee Strobel who caused me to doubt it, and then I began to realize, hang on a minute, this is just a theory. Why should I take this seriously when there's no transitionary fossils to prove it? What a joke. This is absolutely pathetic. But guys, it gets much worse than that. How can this, love that, how can this become this or this? I mean, how could a fish evolve into a shark? And how could a shark evolve into a lion? Really? Are you for real? If anything sounds like faith, that's it.
And when you think of Darwinian evolution makes the claim that a bat and a whale have the same common ancestor, would you not think we would have millions of transitionary fossils between those two? Growing into those two kinds of... We don't. Science has not found it.
I've heard evolutionists say in the past that whales at one point in the evolutionary record grew legs and walked out of the ocean. What the fuck are you even talking about? That is insanity. Really, that's more likely than the idea that there's a creator who put all of this here. You're really going to tell me you're going to look at the world with all of its complexity, lions, fish, and sharks? Just take those examples. You're going to tell me that all of that is a big cosmic accident? And that it's more likely that a whale got out of the water with new legs? Are you joking me? Show me that fossil. Show me the fossil of the whale with legs, and then I might start to believe that whales or sharks or whatever eventually got out of the ocean and walked out of it. But until then, this is just theoretical nonsense. It's just professional guessing. And I wouldn't even say it's all that professional. So again, in other words, how can this become this or even this without these? If you're not going to show me the transitionary fossils, I can't buy it, guys. So again, credit where credit is due. Lee Strobel really put me on the right path here, and I'm overwhelmingly grateful for his insights, because without them, I'd still just take this all for granted. I'd take it all seriously, and you know, like I said, I'm not prepared to call whatever this creator is a god yet, but if it is the god of Christian theism, then it's about time I started believing in this entity, because if I don't, my soul is destined for hell, and so is yours. So really and truly, guys, I want you to take this extremely seriously. Really take this evidence on board, because our eternal lives are at stake. Moving on. Let's take a look at the Earth. Let's put evolution aside. Was the Earth an accident or was it a creation? And there really is only two options here, guys. It was either created or it was an accident. Now, if you look at the complexity and all the life-permitting conditions on this planet, it's just ridiculous. Anybody who understands probability theory, even slightly, the most rudimentary understanding of probability theory, will lead you to the conclusion that the Earth cannot possibly have been an accident. That kind of faith is obscene. It must have been created. How do we get to that conclusion? Again, I have Lee Strobel to thank. Does complexity suggest the existence of a creator? I think so. Earth is the only known planet that supports life in the universe. Now, there might be more, but let's just run with Earth for now. It contains all the correct criteria to support both plant and animal life. Think about all the criteria, the precise, exact amount of gravity and oxygen and all these different things that are required to be life permitting, right? These criteria are finely tuned to an incomprehensible degree. That's a quote directly from Strobel, by the way. This defies mere chance.
The numbers that govern the operation of the universe, the constants and the laws of physics and so forth, they conspire in an extraordinary way to make the universe hospitable for life. In other words, the universe is finely tuned on a razor's edge in a way that defies the explanation that this can merely be a product of chance.
This level of precision points powerfully towards and is best explained by the existence of a creator. How could all these finely tuned parameters be the consequence of chance? The odds are astronomically low that this could happen by mere chance. The most obvious solution the explanation with the most explanatory virtue, is obviously a creator. And anybody who denies that is just showing their biases. They might just be an evolutionist. They might be guilty of scientism. But I've got some numbers for you. Let me give you some examples of precise design. Planet Earth is the perfect size to hold a thin layer of mostly nitrogen and oxygen gases, expanding approximately 50 miles above the Earth's surface. Think about it. If the Earth were smaller or larger, if it wasn't the correct size, this wouldn't be possible and no life would be possible on this planet. This layer of gases is essential for the existence of life. If the Earth was fractionally smaller, just fractionally, its gravitational force would not be sufficient enough to hold these gases. Just like the planet Mercury, life would be impossible. And you want to tell me that this happened by chance? That we're here by some cosmic accident? No. If the Earth was fractionally bigger, the atmosphere would only contain free hydrogen, similar to the planet Jupiter. And again, life would be impossible. So guys, please reflect on this for a moment. The Earth is the perfect size. Slightly larger, slightly smaller, we never come about. And you want to tell me this is an accident? You want to say that this is all just whoopsie-doodle? Come on. Again, I don't have enough faith to accept that, guys. This accident hypothesis that atheists are always going on about, they have no evidence for it. It's just an assertion. Meanwhile, I'm stacking the evidence one on top of another. All of these improbabilities, one on top of another, all of which lead to the human life that we see on this planet. All of these mightily finely tuned things lead to us. Atheists are asserting without evidence that it's all just a cosmic accident. Here I am stacking the improbabilities one on top of another, and all of these improbabilities lead to us. And you want to tell me it's an accident? I don't know what to tell you. Does this illustrate intelligent design? I think we both know the answer, guys.
And we have about 50 of these different parameters that are all perfectly finely tuned.
Still not convinced? If not, let's look at another example. The Earth is located in the exact right position in terms of the sun in order to support life. What do I mean by that? If the Earth was located any closer or further away from the sun, we would all either freeze or burn to death. Slightly closer, too hot. Water would evaporate, life would be extinguished. Slightly further away, too cold, we all freeze to death and the oceans would turn to blocks of ice. We are the perfect distance from the sun. Now just take those two together. Just take those two together. The atmosphere in relation to the exact size of the Earth, slightly bigger, slightly smaller, doesn't work. We all die or we never come about in the first place. And the exact right distance from the sun, slightly closer, no life, slightly further away, no life. These two finely tuned details about our circumstance. Atheists want us to believe that this is all just a cosmic accident, and I just can't accept that, guys. This is probably one of the most persuasive points and one of the reasons why I've changed my mind. Does this prove intelligent design? Still not convinced yet? Let me give you the ace up my sleeve. Now, guys, I was still in doubt at this point, so if you're not convinced just yet, just sit tight. This is the point that blew me away. And it was the moment where I fell to my knees and I accepted the truth. Here we go. The cosmological constant is the energy density of space.
Another example is what's called the cosmological constant. That sounds like a fancy term. It just refers to the energy density of space.
This force prevents the universe from imploding or exploding. So a pretty damn important number.
If the cosmological constant were a large and a positive number, then the stars and the planets never could have formed. If it were a large and negative number, the entire universe would just collapse upon itself. So it has to be set at exactly the right place.
Without this force, the planets and stars could never have formed. So consequently, we wouldn't be here, would we? And yet we are. 100 million, billion, 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 billion. This is the fine-tuning of the cosmological constant.
How perfectly finely tuned in it is it? It is finely tuned to 1 part in 100 million billion 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 billion. I mean, it's amazing. This would be the same fine tuning as if you went to the moon and you took a dart and you threw it at planet Earth and you hit a predetermined bullseye that's 1 atom in width. That is how finely tuned the cosmological constant is. The universe couldn't exist if it were not perfectly tuned in that way.
That number is incomprehensibly massive. And if it were off by 0.00000000000, 100 more zeros, 1%. If it were off by that much, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. If after hearing that number, you're still an atheist, I can't help you. Your biases are blinding you from the truth. If you can look at the cosmological constant and come to the conclusion that we are the product of mere chance, I just can't help you. But I'll pray for you. I'll pray for your soul.
Friends, I think, personally, I think if you just take the evidence of cosmology and the evidence of physics, my own opinion, that's enough to establish that there is a creator of the universe.
In conclusion, guys, I want to talk about love. If you saw this on the beach, would you assume, 1, that somebody created it? Or would you assume, 2, that it was created naturally by the waves? Reflect on that for a moment. Would you assume that somebody created it? Or would you assume it was created naturally by the waves? Which is to say, would you assume that this had been created by chance? I submit to you, dear listener, that if you saw this on the beach, you would have no choice but to conclude that this was intelligently designed. Because these are words. These are letters, rather. This is a word. Love. It is incredibly unlikely. It is astronomically unlikely that this word has become etched in the sand by the product of mere chance. And if you're willing to conclude in this case that this must have been created by an intelligent, thinking being, well then, guys, you are duty-bound to accept the conclusion that the universe, which is vastly more complex than a mere 4-letter word, you are duty-bound to conclude that the universe also has an intelligent designer.
All of this points powerfully and persuasively toward the existence of a divine creator.
And if you reject that, guys, if you reject that fact, if you reject that obvious conclusion, you are just stubborn, you are irrational, you are unreasonable, and it's probably because you just don't want to be held accountable to your creator. It's probably because you just want to sin, and it's probably because you don't want to be, judged by a standard that you know you're failing to meet. And so in closing, all I'll say is that I hope, like me, that you are convinced. I hope that I've given you some food for thought. And I hope above all else that you'll change your mind. Because your soul's eternity depends on it. Are you convinced? Did I change your mind? Did I? Did I change your mind? I'm bullshitting! Don't worry, I'm bullshitting. Oh, shit, man, that was fun. That was so fun. Don't worry. I haven't changed my mind. I'm still the Magic Skeptic. I'm not the Magic Theist. Those of you who have been subscribers to my channel for a very long time will recognize that PowerPoint. That PowerPoint is a PowerPoint that I created, but I created it when I was a creationist. That PowerPoint is decades old. Guys, I used to believe all that shit. I used to believe it all, and then I changed my mind and I became an atheist. That was a long, long time ago. But to be honest, it was a patron who put me up to this. Shout out to Callum. Callum wrote in. Callum is one of my upper echelon Patreon supporters, and one of the perks that you gain access to when you choose one of the upper echelons, one of the upper tiers, is that you get to submit a video creation request. You can ask me to create a video of your choosing. Give me a suggestion, in other words. And Callum, again, shout out to Callum. Callum asked me, what a great idea it was. Callum submitted a request for me to put out a video where I make one of the worst arguments that I could possibly make, but to do so seriously. And so I accepted Callum's request, I accepted the challenge, and I responded to him and I said, well, what if I do like a creationist video? And Callum was all for it. So this is the product of Callum's request. Guys, don't worry, I'm not a creationist. I haven't changed my mind. This video was a ruse. But it's not a ruse for the sake of being a ruse, because here is what I want to tell you. First of all, again, thank you very much to Callum for submitting that request. Callum, I hope you enjoyed this. It really got me thinking, and this is the end result of your request. I hope you enjoyed it, my friend, and thank you, as per usual, for your generosity and your amazing support. But here's one of the reasons. I've got a second reason, basically, not just to satisfy Callum's request, but I've got a second reason for wanting to make this. Guys, I've already debunked this PowerPoint. I've already gone through this PowerPoint step by step and revealed where the fallacies are. And this is what evolution tells us. We have evolved to fit this planet, not the other way around. So this slide, this PowerPoint I've created is just garbage. It's garbage. It is the product of a failure of skepticism. And so what I'm going to do at the end of this video, I'm going to include the rebuttal for this PowerPoint as a recommended video. But if you don't get to the end and you just want to go there now, click into the description below and you'll find the rebuttal video that I made months and months and months ago. So if you found any of the talking points in this video persuasive, if they were making you scratch your head and you were thinking, oh goodness, that actually is a strong creationist argument, or that's a good theistic argument. If you want to see how all of these talking points are refuted, there's a full video of me refuting all of the moments in this PowerPoint, all of the talking points in this PowerPoint. So this video is very much a complementary video. It is a companion piece to the original video where I debunked the PowerPoint. So if you want a refresher about how to refute any of the points I've made in this ruse, well then that video is in fact available. If you don't want to check out that video, we can still have a little bit of fun here. Jump into the comments below and tell me what fallacies I committed whilst I was pretending to be a theist. If you can name all of the fallacies in the video, I'll give you an extra special heart and I'll respond to you in the comments below. That'll be fun too. We can use this, in other words, as a training exercise. Tell me what fallacies I committed, identify them in the comments below, and we can have a little bit of fun with it. One thing I am really worried about, and I do have to say this, I'm really concerned that some people might not have gotten to the end of the video and they don't know it's a ruse. So if you see anybody in the comments below saying, oh my god, Magic Skeptic is a theist now, please tell them in the comments below to watch to the end of the video, because this was a piss take. So, you know what? If people come to the conclusion that I'm a theist, I'm just going to have to blame you, Callum. And to be fair, Callum also submitted a question alongside this video request. Callum wanted me to detail what my creationist beliefs were in the past. So I wasn't a young earth creationist, but I was an evolution doubting creationist. And so, with that said, Callum, this PowerPoint is what I used to believe. So I've basically done two birds, one stone. This PowerPoint and this presentation not only serves as the answer to your video request, but it also serves as the answer to your question about what I believed when I was a creationist. This PowerPoint very much is a summation of what I believed when I still believed in God. And so, guys, listen, I know this was a ruse. I hope you had a bit of fun with it, and I hope to see you in the comments below. Other than that, if you liked the video, I don't imagine I'm going to get a lot of likes on this one, but if you did like it and you found it amusing at the very least, please drop a like on the video. Other than that, if it's your first time visiting the channel, I hope this isn't your first introduction to Magic Skeptic. Oh god. But if you did get to the end of the video and you discovered the ruse, then please do hit the subscribe button, and while you're at it, make sure you check the bell notification icon. That way you'll be able to stay up to date with all things on the channel, and you'll even be notified as and when my latest videos go live. Other than that, I want to conclude conclude by extending an extra special thank you to my patrons. You guys are amazing. Special shout out to Callum again for submitting the video request and the question. If you want to become a patron like those I've mentioned, jump into the description box below. You'll find the link to my Patreon there. Click that link and you can sign up to my Patreon for as little as £3 per month, and you'll gain access to a plethora of perks, bonuses and extras just like Callum has. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching this rather unique episode of A Magician's Thoughts, and I hope to see you in the next one. All the best. Bye-bye.